We even have the most exciting company in the world over the last few years, and that would be Nvidia. They were down around 18% towards the end of the trading day today, which is the equivalent of losing $630 billion in value. Today, I'm going to share my frantically collected research and paint a picture of who are the winners out of this Deepseek situation and who are the losers. But first up, let's understand where Deepseek actually came from. Financed through a venture capital firm in China, Deepseek was under pretty strict regulations in terms of what computer chips they had access to.
But Deepseek turned that on its head, sidestepping the rules by using NVIDIA's less performant H800s to build the latest model and showing that the chip export controls were not the chokehold DC intended.
They were able to take whatever hardware they were trained on, but use it way more efficiently. How did they assemble all the hardware? How did they assemble the data to do all this? We don't know. And it's never been publicized, and hopefully we can learn that.
They've reportedly been using H800 chips from NVIDIA, which are around 2 years old. Keep in mind that each year, these chips are getting around 2 times better on average. So they had very little hardware and they spent very little money, only around $5 million, to actually get this model up and running.
We trained the model with only $3 million. And GPT-4 was trained by 80 to 100 million.
Alibaba's QN, meanwhile, cut costs by as much as 85% on its large language models in a bid to attract more developers and signaling that the race is on.
At first glance, it seems like this Chinese experiment was able to circumvent the massive moat around American tech companies, and that would be the hundreds of billions of dollars that have been spent on the hardware that powers artificial intelligence.
It closed the gap by using available data sets, applying innovative tweaks, and leveraging existing models.
They did this using quoted better software design, but in reality, what they've done is taken the architecture, in other words, the software design of American companies such as OpenAI, and then add a little few tweaks to it and use also just data sets generated from OpenAI as well. So basically full on copy and paste with a few tweaks and generated ChatGPT at a fraction of the cost. Many people are celebrating this as a massive win, a revolution to the entire industry. Now, in some ways, I think that is true in terms of where the revenues are going to go. So in terms of me, if I'm willing to pay whatever it is, $50 a month to get better artificial intelligence performance, where am I going to be spending that money? Or am I actually going to spend any money at all? However, in terms of raw technology development, I see this as more of a piggyback story or a copycat rather than something truly groundbreaking. If we think about where true AI technology development is going to come from, that breaking edge discoveries is probably going to be in things like better video development from AI. Better self-driving from cars using AI training. And I don't think these cheap $10 million companies are going to be able to do that. That's still going to be generated from your companies like Facebook with maybe video development, Amazon, AWS with better business services in terms of web hosting and analytics. And for self-driving, the clear winner is still your names like Tesla or even Google with their Waymo. However, this could change how we think about developing AI. Maybe instead of just brute forcing and buying $100 billion in data centers, maybe we could just tweak the software and get slightly better performance that way. And Deepseek could be giving back to the entire industry because their code is open source. They're willing to share the discoveries they've made and the little tweaks in the code they have produced. This could mean in terms of AI customer revenue, market share, maybe we have 50 small companies, the valuation of $100 million, they all still like a 1% market share from your companies like ChatGPT or OpenAI, but 50 companies stealing 1% market share is still half of the pie. I'm going to use the analogy of the printing press to describe this. Back in the day, the church and its priests would actually write down all of the information passed down from ancestors into books, and they were stored in churches. However, with the printing press and making books universal, you could find them in major cities. Therefore, the church lost a lot of power power. However, names like the Catholic Church were still probably the number 1 or 2 power players in the entire world for another 500 years. It takes time to steal that number 1 spot, but little competitors are going to continue eating up your power and your market share. Wrapping up the story into clear winners and losers, I think China is a clear winner in this circumstance. They've shown here they can still be innovative, and maybe the education system in America and also Australia, England, may not be keeping up with our Eastern counterparts. And there's ways that just brute force money spending sometimes just can't beat true innovation. And the winners also include those small companies, the $10 million names, the $5 million of investment. They could make AI chatbots just as useful as ChatGPT. I'm going to place in the gray area people that don't win or lose in this circumstance, your classic big tech companies like Google, Tesla, and also Microsoft, ignoring their investment in OpenAI, because people who are going to do business analytics through AWS, the people who host videos on Netflix, all these companies pay to have their data stored and analytics done in data centers. That brute force hardware approach is still going to be useful for things classed as inference, the really dumb, easy requests. Not every single person is getting AI to crack world famous math problems. And the number 1 biggest loser in this entire story, I think, is Nvidia. And it's really no surprise we've seen people work that out. The company is down, like I said, about 18% in stock price in a single day, and I believe that's mainly due to that monopoly they had over the entire world. They were charging roughly double to triple for their hardware compared to even the number 2 player, AMD. But maybe the companies such as Facebook, they've already been doing it, but Amazon and also Google, maybe they're going to go with cheaper competitors like AMD to build up these data centers, because maybe that 10% better performance in computing power isn't really worth paying double. This special post was on both of my YouTube channels, but I would really appreciate it if you go and support and subscribe to the Brock Stocks stock market based channel, trying to get that one up and running. And there will be eventually 2 major channels in this bullish bounce universe. Thanks for your time, guys. Thanks to my YouTube members.